this is Scott Cordell, and this video is part 3 of a series of Assignment 5.1 in the Web Design course where we're doing the Mountain Wheels exercise. Now in this exercise or this project, we're actually using Visual Studio Code, which you see on the screen, and we're using GitHub. And in GitHub, we have everything already mapped back here to where we're dealing with all of the stuff we've done here. What we've done so far is we have completed on page 164 down through step 7. So the very next branch we'll make will be number 8, and we'll continue from there. So let's get started. We're going to create a brand new branch, and this will continue on the same pattern to where this is week 5 for Mountain Wheels, branch number 8. Again, we create the branch, immediately push it over, and step 8 in the book tells us that we need to go to the headings section. And again, we're in our CSS page, so our heading section here, and create a style rule to set the font weight of all H1 and H2 headings to normal. So we can do those in one step instead of doing one that is H1 here and then later doing an H2 down below. We can do these together. So for every H1 and H2, we're going to deal with the font, but specifically the font weight that we want to be just normal. In other words, not bold or italicized or cursive or fantasy or any of that. And that's really all we need to do with this one. So I'm going to save that. That moves to source control. And before we do that, I would like to check the page just to make sure. I think I closed it already. So we'll open that back up. And there we go. And you can see that the page has just plain fonts. There's nothing bold or italics or anything anywhere, so that resets it the way that we were doing before. Now back to source. We give it a commit statement or message and commit that here to the local side. Once that has finished, we go out to GitHub and we go ahead and, whoops, sorry, one thing I forgot, synchronize it. After you commit, you have to do your own sync as well. Now GitHub shows there, and again, that's just a good way to check. If you don't see that yellow bar, then you missed a step somewhere. All right, back to Visual Studio Code, change to the main method. And sorry, let me get back over here. There we go. So we can see this one happen. So we know it comes into the main. And there we go, that's step 8. Now I did want to go ahead and accelerate this just a little bit because it's pretty boring watching someone do every single step this way. But I wanted to remind you in a video we had a couple of weeks ago, this one it talks about how the GitHub workflow works. And again, I gave you the link to that. And notice that we can do multiple commits in a single branch. So far in this video series, we've done one branch with one commit on each one. This time, I'm going to take steps 9, 10, and 11 and put them in one branch and do all this in one larger step instead. Now, the way we're going to do that works the same way as before. And by the way, the reason I'm doing 9, 10, and 11 before, step 9 says to go to navigation styles, and then 10, you're still in navigation styles. 11 is still navigation styles. So these next 3 steps will all be for the navigation, which will be right here. That's why I'm putting these steps together. So to start this, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a branch for Mountain Wheels, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my number 9. Now I could do 9-11 or something, but I prefer to keep my numbers sequential without grouping them. I don't want to do 9, 10, 11 because then that looks like, just a second, click the wrong button there, hold on. There we go, 9, 10, 11. Looks kind of weird. And 9-11, well, we use dashes instead of spaces, so I don't know if that means, was that a date or was that something else? So I'm just going to stick with 9. And what we're going to do is for step 9, we'll do a commit. Step 10, we'll do a commit. So we published, or now we publish the branch. So each of these steps will do an individual commit, but all of them on one branch so that it will look virtually like this. It'd be 9, 10, 11, then we do a pull request and we merge. So step number 9 says go to navigation styles, create a style for the nav UL selector. In other words, it looks like this. So this will affect every UL that's inside of a nav. If we have a UL that's outside of a nav or tucked in a header or anywhere else, it won't affect those. It's just going to affect the ones that are inside of the nav. And I'm going to go ahead and just type these in. They want us to make sure that the list style types, that there are none. It wants us to take away the little bullets that show up automatically. We also could have had disk or some other characters in there that we could have used. We also need to do the line height. And this is why I should use autocomplete. There we go. 2 EMs for that. And the font size, 0.9 EMs. Now that's all of step 9, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And come out here and take a look at the page, which I've got right here. And instead of opening it every time, I prefer to leave it open and just hit refresh. And notice there's our nav. All the ULs or all the unordered items in the list. Took away the dots, the bullets there, and spaced everything out by giving it a little bit of a line height. In fact, it's enough to put something in between. So training, another line could have been typed here. It's 2 EMs, so it gives us double spacing. And that's that for this one. We're going to still do a commit. And we will go ahead and push that over to GitHub. But now, we'll just hit the synchronize. And instead of going to GitHub, doing the merge or the pull request, completing it, then the merge and completing the merge, and then coming back and changing the main, we're going to stay on this branch. And we're just going to go ahead and do step number 10, which states for every previously visited or unvisited hypertext link within the navigation list, create a style rule to remove the underlining for the hypertext link. In other words, we want to get rid of those underlines. Now the way we do that are with pseudo classes. And you saw this in the example when you worked on the tutorial. So for all the, let's see, they said the visited and unvisited. So visited. And for all the hyperlinks, which are A tags, that are just unvisited, are called links. All we're going to do here is get rid of the underline, which is text decoration. Just tell it we want none. And then set the RGB color. And notice it is text color, not background color. All right, like that. Again, save that. Take a look at what we've got so far. So now all of these are still hyperlinks. I can still click them, but the underline is gone. That's the end of step 10. So we go back to source and commit that. And once we commit it, we need to push it to Visual Studio or to GitHub as well. Notice we're still on the 9th branch we started. All right, and there it goes. And now for step number 11, for every hovered or active link. In other words, instead of visited and link, it's going to be the hover and active here. We're going to do something a little different with that. So there's nav hover or nav a hover, and the nav a active. Forgot which one there. They're going to give us an RGB color again. So when we hover over it, or it's the one that we are actively doing something with, it'll be red instead of blue. I've already saved my changes there. Back on my page. I'm going to refresh because right now nothing happens when we hover. Refresh it, and now they are red when we hover over it. That's the end of step 11, so we go to source. And we're going to go ahead and synchronize that. And since that's all I want to do, those are all of the navigation styles, I'm going to stop there. And now, since we've got everything synchronized, now go to GitHub and do the pull request. So we're basically lumping a bunch of commits into one big pull request or one big step. Now, this name is not like it has been every time. Every time up until now, we've just taken the default name. But because this default name is the branch name, and it isn't very descriptive, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say completed steps 9 through 11. And actually, I can do a comment now because I need to describe a little bit better of what we've done. Styled the navigation. I'll go ahead and make it a navigation list. Notice the rest of the steps are just like before. It checks to see if it will work, and we merge it as soon as it says it's good. All of my commits are in this one merge now. Back to home here, and in Visual Studio Code, same as always, we're going to go back to main, which has none of our navigation styles. And then we refresh, and now they are all here inside of the main. Now, in order to keep these videos short, I'm going to stop there. But notice all we did really in this one was take care of these parts here. So that's just the navigation list. So in this video, what we did is talk a little bit more about GitHub and how some of these things can actually work inside the system. We still worked with Visual Studio Code, but this time instead of doing one step that has one commit in one branch, we did 3 steps, 3 different commits into one branch. But notice the back-end process to where we actually do the pulls and the merges were exactly the same. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.